at 2:30 a.m. on October 28, 2025. Deep inside Russia, the mission was 99% complete. Then the Ukrainian driver saw it at the final FSB checkpoint, an unpredicted mobile X-ray scanning truck. The mission killer. He had 5 minutes before the scan exposed the 50 drones hidden in his cargo. This swarm arrived in 3 nondescript Gazelle vans, the Russian equivalent of a Ford Transit. The 50 drones were packed in insulated crates, dormant and electronically silent, driven across the border by 6 Ukrainian operators posing as commercial bakers. They had passed 6 previous checkpoints with perfect papers and a level of acting that would make Hollywood jealous. Their target, the Druzhba pipeline, a $3.7 billion artery pumping an estimated 10% of the fuel directly feeding the Russian military. Taking it out is a direct attack on Russia's core business model, turning oil into terror. The billion-dollar question wasn't how you fly a drone through Russia's air defenses, it was how do you survive a 5-minute conversation when an X-ray machine is about to scream your secrets to the entire FSB? It began with 3 beat-up Gazelle vans crossing into Russia, their papers identifying them as a commercial bakery convoy. For weeks, they drove deep into the country, making legitimate deliveries, becoming a familiar, boring part of the local scenery. Then, on a quiet night, the lead van pulled onto the shoulder of a deserted road miles from the nearest town. The driver, a Ukrainian operative with the steady hands of a surgeon, feigned engine trouble. His real mission was a 90-second window of opportunity. He slid open the side door, revealing not bread but 50 neatly packed drones. With practiced efficiency, he placed them one by one into the dense undergrowth, seeding the forest with sleeping assassins. This was a technological gamble. Each drone entered a deep sleep mode, powered by a custom lithium-ion battery pack designed for extreme longevity. They became electronically dead. No heat signature for thermal cameras, no radio frequency for listening posts. They were stones. Their activation wouldn't come from a radio signal that could be jammed. Instead, Ukrainian engineers had programmed each drone with a unique acoustic trigger. It was the technological equivalent of a sleeper agent, conditioned to ignore every sound in the forest except for one highly specific code word: the pre-recorded wheezing cough of a dying Russian Ural truck engine. At 2:45 a.m., 50 drones attempt to power on, but the Krasuka 4's omnipresent electronic pressure is too much for some. It fries the delicate boot-up sequence of 5 drones before they can even spin their props. They are the mission's first casualties. The 45 snap to life. As one, the swarm rises not in a chaotic cloud, but in a disciplined, silent formation. They immediately enter ghosting mode, a low-altitude, 50-foot-high dash through the trees at a steady 60 miles per hour. Their flight path isn't a straight line. They are following pre-plotted geomagnetic curves, using the Earth's own magnetic field as a secret invisible highway to stay beneath the radar horizon. The electronic battlefield is brutal. The Krasuka 4 isn't just jamming, it's blotting out the sky, making a GPS lock impossible. It's like trying to use Google Maps during a solar flare. But on 45 tiny heads-up displays, a new message flashes, defiant and clear: GPS lost, INS active. They are now flying blind, guided only by their internal gyroscopes, feeling every change in motion, navigating by the laws of physics alone. At 2:46:15 a.m., the Russian command network is in chaos. On their radios, FSB agents are screaming about a decoy van that has just deployed a smokescreen and is now fleeing west. They are trying to manage a PR crisis and a tactical pursuit at the same time. It's in the middle of this confusion that a new nightmare appears on their screens. A radar operator at the Nebo M station, his attention already split, sees it first. Not one, but a dozen faint, fast-moving contacts suddenly paint on his display. Because of the decoy van, the Russians are already primed for the worst. There's no time to wonder if it's a flock of birds. The assumption is immediate. This is a coordinated, multi-pronged attack. The Russian response is immediate, and it is brutal. A Panzer S-1 battery, already on high alert, receives the coordinates and fires a salvo of 3 missiles. The sky rips open. But this was anticipated. This was the plan. The first 2 drones in the formation aren't part of the main strike package. They are digital bodyguards programmed for a single glorious purpose: to die loudly. They break formation, climbing slightly to make themselves more attractive targets. 2 of the Russian missiles lock on and detonate, vaporizing the decoys in a flash of light. The sacrifice works. It buys the main swarm precious seconds. The remaining 43 drones slam their throttles, accelerating to 80 miles per hour. They don't scatter. They execute a series of perfectly synchronized, aggressive Z-pattern maneuvers, a flight path designed specifically to confuse the Doppler radar filters trying to get a lock. The first exchange is over. Ukraine has lost 2 drones, but in return they have confirmed their location has been compromised. The swarm is now in a knife fight in the dark, and the Russians know they're here. At 2:47 a.m., the Russian electronic warfare officer has had enough. The Z-pattern evasion isn't a tactic, it's an insult. It's time to stop swatting at flies and burn the whole sky. The command is given, Krasuka 4 to full power. A tsunami of electromagnetic energy washes over the forest, an invisible hurricane designed to lobotomize anything with a circuit board. Back in the Kiev bunker, the operator's wall of monitors, a mosaic of 43 different FPV feeds showing the frantic high-speed chase, suddenly flashes. Every single screen turns to blinding, deafening white snow. The connection is severed. He is now completely blind, a helpless spectator to a battle happening hundreds of miles away, trusting only in the code his engineers wrote. The swarm is hit with the full force of the electronic storm. Their sensors are overloaded, their processors screaming. But this was the scenario they were built for. This is where the swarm proves it has a soul. The protocol automatically shifts. With their electronic eyes and ears gone, they turn to their most primitive sense, hearing. The swarm switches to acoustic relay mode. The lead drone emits a sharp, high-frequency chirp, a digital sound that cuts through the electronic chaos. The drone directly behind it locks onto that sound, follows it, and emits its own chirp for the one behind. It's a daisy chain of sound, a high-tech game of Marco Polo played at 80 miles per hour. They are now navigating like a pack of bats in the dark. But the transition is violent and imperfect. In the disorienting chaos of the jamming, 5 drones fail to link into the acoustic chain. Their FPV feeds, for a fraction of a second, show a dizzying, uncontrolled spiral towards the dark forest floor before winking out forever. 43 becomes 38. The surviving pack is now a different beast entirely. They drop even lower, hugging the contours of the earth, using the rolling hills as a shield. They are now engaged in a deadly dance of physics, constantly ducking behind terrain to break the Krasuka's line of sight for just 0.3 seconds at a time. A window of invisibility just long enough to survive. They are a phantom in the static, a pack of wolves hunting by sound alone. At 2:47:20 a.m. Inside the lead Ukrainian van, now parked and powerless at the FSB checkpoint, the driver can only listen. He's playing the role of a baffled, frustrated civilian, but his ears are straining, trying to hear the one sound that will tell him if the mission is still alive. The distant, angry buzz of 38 electric motors. High above, the Russian response has finally taken physical form. The Mi-8 helicopter, originally scrambled to chase the decoy van, has been retasked. Guided by the Krasuka's last known fix on the swarm's electronic signature, it barrels over the tree line. This isn't a precision attack, it's an act of brute force. The helicopter descends, its massive 5-bladed main rotor turning the air into a weapon. A hurricane of rotor wash, a violent vortex of downward thrust, slams into the forest canopy. For the drones, flying just feet above the ground, it's like a small boat being hit by the wake of a battleship. The acoustic relay, so brilliant against electronic attacks, is defenseless against raw physics. The delicate chain of sound is shattered by the deafening roar and chaotic wind shear. 8 drones are instantly thrown out of control, tossed into trees like children's toys, their props shattering against ancient oaks. 38 becomes 30. In the Kiev bunker, the operator sees the telemetry data flashing on her main screen. He has no video, only the cold, hard numbers. 8 red icons blink out in rapid succession. He has just lost another 20% of her strike force in the space of 3 seconds. The mission is hemorrhaging assets. The plan is falling apart, but the target is now less than half a minute away. At 2:47:30 a.m., the Mi-8 pilot is confident. He's just physically obliterated nearly a quarter of the enemy swarm without firing a shot. He banks for another pass, ready to finish the job. He is about to learn the difference between a swarm of drones and a pack of intelligent killers. This is the ace in the hole, this is the last trick. In perfect pre-programmed synchronicity, the 30 surviving drones execute their final defensive maneuver. It's a move designed not to evade, but to deceive. They all deploy their countermeasures simultaneously. It's not just one or two flares, it's a sudden, brilliant constellation of 30 intensely burning magnesium flares that ignites the night sky. The helicopter's sophisticated thermal targeting system, designed to lock onto the subtle heat of an engine, is instantly overwhelmed. It's like trying to find a single candle in the middle of a forest fire. The pilot's automated systems go haywire, trying to prioritize 30 targets, all screaming with the heat signature of a fighter jet's afterburner. The system defaults to the biggest, brightest threat. A missile streaks off its pylon, not towards a drone, but towards a harmless ball of burning metal falling through the trees. It detonates, its multi-million-dollar warhead vaporizing nothing but empty forest. This is the window they needed. While the Mi-8 is blinded, the swarm re-establishes its formation. No more complex patterns, no more acoustic relays. This is a straight, vengeful, fury-fueled dash to the finish line. They form up into a classic V formation like a flock of migrating geese from hell and accelerate to their maximum speed, 100 miles per hour. And as the swarm makes its final desperate charge, the human element of the mission executes its own perfect escape. At the checkpoint, the chaos of the Mi-8's attack provides the ultimate distraction. The FSB commander is now screaming into his radio about a helicopter firing on unknown targets in the woods. The broken-down bread truck is the last thing on his mind. The Ukrainian driver seizes the moment. With a miraculous cough and sputter, the van's engine roars back to life. He gives the guards a sheepish, apologetic shrug, as if to say, "Old Russian junk, you know how it is," and slowly drives away, melting into the night. Miles away, the third van, the silent, unnoticed reserve element, has been waiting patiently. It's parked at a pre-arranged rendezvous point, a sprawling, muddy scrapyard. Its driver isn't in uniform. He's dressed as a local scrap collector, sipping a cheap Russian beer and watching the distant flashes of light with detached interest. The drivers of the first and second vans, their missions as decoys now complete, don't return to the main road. They navigate through a web of dirt tracks and back roads, their headlights off, using night vision. Their destination is the same scrapyard. One by one they arrive, park their vans between mountains of rusted metal, and strip off their drivers' uniforms. Underneath, they are wearing the bland, forgettable clothes of local laborers. They grab their pre-stashed civilian papers, melt into the shadows, and walk away, leaving 3 empty bread vans to be discovered in the morning. Their part of the story is over. They have delivered the Ghost Army. They have created the diversion. They have escaped, and now their children are about to strike. On the FPV feed, for the first time, the target is visible. The Druzhba pipeline. It's a massive, dark serpent of steel, glistening under the faint moonlight. And on its side, the most critical vulnerability, the bright metallic sheen of a primary valve station. A final countdown timer appears on the screen. 10, 9, 8, the swarm is home. At 2:47:40 a.m., the 30 drones become 30 guided missiles. There is no more evasion. This is a terminal dive. Their hybrid INS GPS systems, having flown blind for the last minute, now perform a final perfect handshake with the satellites overhead, correcting their course with pinpoint 3-foot accuracy. It's a cascade of impacts. A rhythmic percussive thump 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 as 22 pounds of shaped charge explosives delivered at 100 miles per hour slam into the steel skin of the primary valve station. It's not an indiscriminate bombing run. It is 30 separate, surgically precise acts of industrial decapitation, all executed within 1.3 seconds. But the real genius wasn't in the impact, it was in the physics of what happened next. This is the anatomy of a catastrophic success. It all began with the trigger. Each drone's warhead was fused with a 0.8 second delay. This is the critical detail. It's the difference between a hammer blow that dents armor and an armor-piercing round that guts the engine. The delay allowed the shaped charge to make contact, liquefy the outer steel, and begin to penetrate before detonating. This leads to the energy release. The explosion happens inside the valve's housing. The result is a contained pressure wave of 5,000 psi, a force comparable to the crushing pressure at the bottom of the deep ocean. The valve, a masterpiece of Russian engineering designed to withstand immense internal pressure, was never designed to handle that kind of shock from the outside. It doesn't bend, it shatters. This triggers the structural collapse. With the valve's integrity gone, the pipeline's own immense pressure becomes the weapon. A geyser of crude oil, black and thick, erupts into the night sky, a roaring fountain of Russia's liquid gold. But this isn't just a leak, it's an atomized spray of highly flammable fuel mixing with the oxygen in the air, and that creates the secondary effect. The superheated jet of molten metal from the shaped charge acts as the perfect matchstick. The atomized oil ignites in a single colossal fireball that turns night into day. The fire doesn't just burn, it travels, feeding on the endless supply of fuel now gushing from the severed artery, creating a river of fire that begins to snake its way down the pipeline for 2 miles. The Russian SCADA system, the pipeline's central nervous system, is instantly paralyzed. Its sensors are either vaporized or screaming with incomprehensible data. Think of it as the industrial equivalent of a massive stroke. The brain is dead, and it can no longer tell the body to stop bleeding. The immediate aftermath was swift and brutal. 50 Russian pipeline guards were permanently relieved of duty. Within hours, Maxar satellite imagery confirmed the kill, a 200-foot-wide thermal scar visible from orbit. And from a quiet scrapyard, a single encrypted text hit Kiev. Job done, going for a beer. The strategic fallout was immediate. Russia lost 10% of its military-grade fuel flow overnight. On the front lines, that translated to 1,000 tanks effectively going on foot. Domestically, gas prices surged 30%, and a panicked Putin was forced into an emergency call with Xi Jinping, no longer as a partner, but as a beggar. The final math was a lesson in asymmetric warfare. For the price of a few used vans and a handful of hobby drones, 6 Ukrainian operatives with nerves of steel had just decapitated a $3.7 billion piece of national infrastructure. The lesson seared into the Kremlin's memory was simple. Don't fall asleep in your own backyard. Because Ukraine proved that night that the most dangerous weapon isn't just the drone, it's the human mind that tells it where to go.